Hello, good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. We have to start on time because it's a very, very tight time schedule. We try to present to you 15 startups. Every startup has 5 minutes. I'm sure everybody will keep the time limit. I hope so. My name is Christoph Rommel. I'm from the company BayStartUP you see here, and I will lead you through this event and try to keep the time and to make it a little bit interesting for you. I guess not everybody knows BayStartUP, so for the introduction, just a few words who we are and why we are here. No, first let me go through the agenda. I don't know if you have it. This is the agenda the team's presenting. BayStartUP, who we are. We are an organization in Bavaria taking care of startups. We are a public-private partnership. You see a few names of our sponsors, and the state of Bavaria is also involved. What do we offer? We offer services to the startups and to the industry and the investors. We do the business plan competition. Perhaps you heard of that already. There's a big business plan competition in Nuremberg and in Munich. We are doing that. We offer training courses all over Bavaria, around 70 per year. We do coaching to the startups. What do we coach? We coach them how to build the business plan strategically, how to raise financing. We have a large investor network. We do not by ourselves invest in startups, but we know, I would say, a lot of people willing to invest, and we bring together this network with the startups. And last but not least, industrial cooperations. What else does a startup need besides money, customers? And that's what we also take care of. So if you look at the typical timeline or how a startup develops over time, our services we offer are really, we try to address each stage of a startup. Last year, what did we achieve? The business plan competitions for us. We have about 400 startups per year we see in our team, 70 workshops with 1,000 participants, demo nights, and you see a picture later, and the coaching, around 1,000 coachings per year. Raised money from our network, around 60 million, and a lot of events with investors, 20 business angel meetings, 4 large investor conferences. This is a typical example of the so-called startup demo night, where we bring together startups with all kinds of interested people. And the next one takes place here in Nuremberg, the 12th of March. So that's it. I kept my 5 minutes. I'm very proud of it. And now we move forward with Ekkono. Excuse me. Let me just change the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jon Lindén. I'm CEO and co-founder of a company called Ekkono Solutions, and we do machine learning for IoT. We're a Swedish company, and if we use a slightly more technical term, we're talking about edge machine learning. So why do you want to do machine learning at the edge? Well, first of all, when we connect sensors and connect things, then we start generating a lot of data. Some sensors are generating thousands of samplings per second. It's unfeasible to send all of this to the cloud. The solution is normally that you send some kind of average, minute average, 15-minute average, hourly averages to the cloud, which is a very blunt value. So if you want to find forensic differences and deviations, then you have to look at the real data close to the sensors, which is why you want to go to the edge. A lot of things that are connected are also mobile, like this train that we're demonstrating in our booth, which means that you're not going to be in the same position, same place with perfect connectivity all the time. So less dependency on connectivity. And then finally, one thing that we found that, or actually one of our customers found, was the question of data integrity. We're not going to be able to download data from all places to all vendors. Customers will be more and more sensitive to what data they let you have, and enterprises will be even more so when they realize that you're capitalizing on their data. They're going to see the currency and go, okay, what am I getting in return? So if you want to automate things, if you want to make very quick decisions, then you have to do it close to the sensors at the edge. Now, the even stronger reason why is that if you start this close to the edge, you can learn individually for each device. For this train, the specific track, for a car, the specific conditions in which it operates. If it's driving in the north of Scandinavia, it's going to be cold, it's going to be slippery, it's going to be less traffic, but the roads are going to be in good condition, compared to if you drive it in South America, where it will be entirely different conditions. With machine learning, where the core is that you learn from data instead of programming the conditions, you will be able to learn very individual conditions and act accordingly. So, how do we do it? Very quickly, we are a software company. We're not in the business of selling solutions or providing consulting hours. We provide a framework, a generic framework that enables machine learning at the edge. We focus on the implementation, not the analytics part, but the implementation, meaning that we support the programmer in enabling to do all these things on very constrained platforms. We have all the tools that you typically need in order to optimize the algorithms for doing the implementation, memory control, and so forth. We only provide software. We are totally agnostic, which means that you can virtually run on any kind of hardware platform, which is good. In a car, you're going to have some 100 different ECUs, MCUs, CPUs, and so forth. We support all of them because we're agnostic. And we also provide a plethora of machine learning techniques, because sometimes linear regression is the solution of choice. Sometimes it's random forest, sometimes it's neural networks. We have all of them in our framework, so we provide the solution for all their different needs, which enables our customers, which are companies like Alfa Laval, Volvo, ABB that we work with today, to harmonize on one tool for making their connected things smart. So that's what we do. If you want to know more, my colleague, who is wearing the same kind of vest, can be found in the Startup Plaza, where you also find the train, and you can get a proper demo of what we do. Thank you.
Ten extra points for keeping the time. Not to forget to mention that you received the third prize in the startup this award ceremony.
Did. And we're very proud of that. Thank you very much.
How many people is Ekkono?
So we're still a startup. We are 12 people. We just closed another round of funding, so we're in the stage of expanding, where we currently target Germany as our first international market.
So how do you do that? Will you establish a legal entity in Europe, or
we will.
A sales rep?
We will. However, we work almost exclusively through systems integrators that are building the solutions, and through technology partners like Amazon Web Services that can provide our technology. We don't, as I mentioned before, want to spend the time on being consultants. We think that others are better suited at doing that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ekkono.
Hi everybody, I'm Eun-jio, reporter from Korea. I'm working at KeyPost. It's online IT daily. It's my great pleasure to see all of you. I have flown more than 12 hours from Korea to see you and share our vision. Yes, my company is not a manufacturer nor chip maker. As I said earlier, KeyPost is a media and consulting service provider. Let me talk more about our company and our vision. As you might know, my home country, Korea, is one of the epicenters of the world's IT ecosystem. As the country is home to the world's two largest memory chip makers, Samsung and SK hynix. And there are world's largest OLED display panel makers in Korea. In lithium-ion battery, we have three big guys. All of them are world-class. And these battery makers are supplying European car makers like BMW and Volvo. Looking beyond, you might imagine how huge manufacturing ecosystem is around these big shots. semiconductor, display panel, and secondary batteries are inviting parts, components, raw materials, IPs, and equipment companies to join their ecosystem. This is why we started out online media KIPOST in 2015 and aim to serve as a first window of opportunity for high-tech companies to get into the Korean IT ecosystem. Our motto is to become a two-way media and consulting service platform for global IT ecosystem, aiming to help to find the right partners and the right technologies and the right time. Let me get a little back in 2015 when KIPOST was founded. Before joining KIPOST, I was working as a reporter for Korea's largest IT newspaper, the Electronic Times. At that time, when I opened my email box, I often found some request messages, like these. Do you know the technology with which can alternate IT film for touch screen panel? Like these of contents. Yeah. Here, and the most of these requests came from CEOs and CTOs of IT companies who I had interviewed. These requests are a manifestation of how challenging it is to find the right partners and the right person. So this is the reason why I decided to join KIPOST Supply Chain Database Build-Up project. As you know, there are tons of information on the internet, and it is getting easier and easier to get information. So the traditional role of media as information outlet has been changing dramatically, and most of media are confronted challenges of finding right business model. The media's role as agenda setter also has been giving way to social media networks and YouTube. Against this backdrop, KIPOST has been trying to figure out what a new role of media, especially B2B media. Our answer is to create new values for our readers. KIPOST seasoned reporters make daily visits to IT companies in Korea, in focus and in spotlight to get into information on what they are doing right now and will do in the months and years to come. Back in the office, reporters feedback them into our supply chain database and write two types of stories. One for general non-paying readers, and the other for paid-in subscribers. The information is not what can be found easily on the internet.
So I have to interrupt you. If you are interested, your company is over there at the startup area,
Yes.
and please come over and talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Time is
yeah.
over.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't introduce our business model and service.
Sorry for that.
Why?
5 minutes.
Oh my God. Have 1 second. Yeah.
No, please.
Oh yeah. I have more. Yeah. I'm sorry. I have one. Yes. Give me 1 minute. Yes. What can I say you? Say want to.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. So the next company on stage is Jitsuin. So go ahead, Jitsuin.
Okay, so if you're sitting there guessing this sounds like a Japanese word, you're absolutely right, it is a Japanese word. If you ask a Japanese person to sign a document, they don't use a pen, they use a stamp. And if it's a really high-value document, they use their Jitsuin stamp. The Jitsuin stamp is something that everybody has that's unique to themselves, and they get it registered at their local municipal office. And if ever there's a need to check if a document really was signed by a person, they go back and check the records at the office. So Jitsu means truth, and to us, Jitsuin means truth in things. And we are a company that's founded by industry veterans in the semiconductor, security, crypto, and blockchain world. That's me. In the middle, I'm VP Marketing. So we've heard of the Internet of Things and all of the promises that it will bring of freely tradable data and things talking to each other and making our lives a lot easier. And I hope that includes the presentation clicker, because it's not advancing. Resort to manual. So having these things trade data between them, the missing ingredient is trust. And I was consulting for Ping Identity on the Internet of Things and on identity and access management of things. And what I found was that people could not tell where the data was coming from. They couldn't tell how things stayed up to date. They couldn't tell how things protected identities within themselves. And this is a problem, because if you're relying on the data that things produce, how do you know if it's real data? And the ultimate question I asked was, what level of assurance do you place on the data you're getting from things? And the result was 50%. Well, that's clearly not good enough. What is the point in collecting data that you don't believe is actually truthful? So what we need to do is look at the financial world of banking and know your customer. What we need now is something in the Internet of Things called Know Your Things. Kind of like blue ticks of verification that you get on Twitter or Instagram. We need those for things to know that we're talking to real things. Now, it's all very well knowing how a thing was created and whether it was made secure, but the problem is that things are only secure till they're not. You can make something secure, but guaranteed in 3-5 years' time, you're going to need to maintain that thing. So it's not just enough to make it secure, you've got to maintain it as well. Now, maintenance is not the sole responsibility of a single actor. It can't be just the device manufacturer that takes all that responsibility and pushes out updates, because bad things happen when an update is pushed and the safety context of that device is not known. So it's a team sport to fix things and keep them maintained. Now, you're probably aware of a new technology called blockchain, and blockchain is for team sports. It's about bringing various companies together to share a ledger of transactions and share the same view of the truth of the world. And that's what we do. We bring blockchain technology to device lifecycle assurance to enable people to understand how a thing was maintained and who did what when, or who needs to do what and when to keep things up to date. Now, the beauty of doing that is that once you've got a health record of how a thing was maintained, you've got a score of how it's telling the truth. And if you can believe a thing is telling the truth, then you have a fair idea that an actual device reported a value and it wasn't an attacker trying to fool your system. So if you know that you're getting data from real things, then that data is more valuable. And if that data is more valuable to third parties, they'll pay for it. If they're paying for that data from truthful things, that can pay for the maintenance. And the maintenance keeps the things telling the truth, which keeps the buyers of data buying truthful data. And we create a virtuous cycle where things keep telling the truth, people keep buying it, and that funds the upkeep of the Internet of Things. So then we can finally have this world where things trade data amongst themselves, and we can actually have lives improved by things staying in service for longer and reducing the risk of the IoT causing us harm. So unfortunately, the slides haven't been working. We've got a demo over at the booth, and it's much better to see a blockchain in action. So if you're here, go over to the booth. If you're watching this online on the video, go to our website. There's a video of that there. There's also a white paper and data sheets that you can download from the web. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Sorry for that. But the good thing, it's really worth going to their booth because it's a real nice demonstration for everybody who's interested into blockchain to make it understandable. It's a good place to go, just over there, Jitsuin.
It works better than PowerPoint. Just over there, you can see Jitsuin from
the startup area is just here, 10 meters from here. Next one is WISEBATT. Your company was founded in 2016.
Yes, exactly.
In the meantime, 12 employees, all in France?
11.
11.
11 employees in France, and yes.
Oh, how we do it?
I'm going to find my way. No, don't worry.
Okay, it's up to you.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm not going to be able to move, but that doesn't avoid me to pitch the company. So I'm Wilfried, I'm the CEO and co-founder of WISEBATT, and the purpose of WISEBATT is to make hardware development as quick as software development. So let me introduce you to a problem, which is the car manufacturing industry. 40 years ago, when they wanted to design a new car, well, usually they were building prototype, crashing them onto the wall, making some measurement, improving it, and doing that again. That was taking, of course, a lot of time and energy, and money, sorry. Now nobody is doing that anymore, everybody is doing that in simulation. And they saved billions of dollars and years of development by doing so. When we are looking at the small and medium electronics, I mean especially IoT, engineers are still used to do real tests on real hardware and on development kits. While most of the services we are using on our everyday life, and if I should say, most of the advancements we had on our society are relying on this hardware. Problem is that it will take between 6 and 48 months of R&D before being able to go from an idea to an actual product, 5 iterations and $1 million of investment. In other words, nobody is doing simulation as the first step on the design cycle. So that's why we created WISEBATT. WISEBATT is basically two things: a platform that allows engineers to build virtual prototypes in a very quick way, and a community that allows engineers to share their knowledge and share their design so that everybody can improve on a common knowledge. And that's exactly what we implemented. I'm sorry, it was supposed to be a video, but we have a very nice demo at our booth. Long story short, this technology doesn't come from nowhere. It's backed up by 10 years of academic research. We have 1 patent. For those that are into software development, we are talking about 350,000 lines of working code. I'm not including comments. And our key value is being able to model very accurately the nonlinear part of the system and model very quickly the linear and predictable part of the system, which at the end of the day make that the simulation we are providing to our users are 90% accurate. And we know that because we validate that on more than 200 hardware architecture. So for those who are not familiar with designing products, we are basically, you will find here the value chain, and you will find a tool for everything you need as soon as you know what you want to implement and what you want to design. Problem is that when you don't know what to implement or what to design, you have nothing. So that's exactly where we are starting to help our user. And we won't reinvent another PCB software, so we will make ourselves compatible with all of those standard tools that are used by the engineer. If we are talking about the market, well, globally, we are talking about 42,000 companies in Europe and North America, and this is globally a $160 billion market. For our users, the business model is based on GitHub. It means that if you have an open source project or if you are a student, access to the software is completely free. And if you are a professional, you can have access to a private project on the software, and it starts at $79 per month per project. We count now more than 800 projects. We are reaching 700 engineers, I think, from more than 53 countries. And what we managed to do until now is allowing our users to save more than 3 months of R&D or on their design cycle. So that represents a saving of around $200,000 per project, if you want to know. We are a team of 11 people. I'm pretty sorry the photo is not up to date. We are going quite fast. And we are 2 co-founders. Marion is in charge of the product, and she comes from a designing background. So yes, please visit our website, come to our booth to see a very nice demo. And if you have any question, I would be pleased to answer right after the pitch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one on stage is Stream HPC. Yeah. Stream HPC from Netherlands. Yep. The presentation is there. Please go ahead.
Okay. Let me see. Hey, it works. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm in HPC. I don't know how many of you are in HPC. Okay. Wrong public. No. It's actually the reason I'm here. This is the first time I'm here as a company, kind of thing. Because in HPC, you have to think about big clusters, big machines, big GPUs, kind of thing. And what they sell here is small. And one of the first products we actually were working on with the customer was CCTV. Actually, we are quite a leftish company, so nobody likes CCTV. And we were thinking about it, and this is where the presentation is about. How can you have privacy and security in the same system? This is actually sort of the social problem. If you see, how do you say, if this would be full of cameras here, do you think like, yo, I'm really safe? I trust this place? Or do you think, watch the others, I don't trust them, don't watch me because I'm trustworthy? And this is a really strange thing. It's sort of like, well, it should only do the increase in trust, but it decreases trust in everybody who's behind that camera. You too, the camera. So this friction, that's where we've been thinking about. And also, if you think about the security sector, sorry for all the people who are in security here, I think they're very old-fashioned. If you think about resolution, do you think like really tiny screens kind of thing? Or do you, how do you say, these spy movies, do they have 4K footage? No, they have like 640, 480, and that's really modern stuff. And even if it's there, actually it's not being sold. So all the problems are sort of like, well, solved 80s style. But that's the whole thing. It actually can be solved by just doing all the processing in the edge. Like was for the first presentation, you can do AI in the edge. So you can do actually anything in the edge. So we can promise privacy. But this requires sort of like, well, a different way of thinking. Instead of like administrating exactly what has been done and having big centralized hard drives where all the data is on. Just try to just to do immediate action and only save the data that's relevant, kind of thing. And it's actually obvious. If you would see a CCTV and it said like, well, this one doesn't save the data, only if I try to demolish it or demolish another person, then it will save data. It's strange, it's not there. So, we're actually looking for progressive cities. If there's no HPC people, are there cities around? Nah, anyway, if you know a city, we would like to talk with them, other than Amsterdam, where we're from. And we can look for, we're looking forward to actually create a city where, if it's full with cameras, everybody can trust them, that their privacy is not at stake. Thank you. I think that was under 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. It was absolutely in 5 minutes. Very good. So the first round is over. Would you agree to give KIMEDIA a short chance at least to mention in words what she wanted to say?
Yeah, thank you very much. What can I want to say you? If we want to if we want to look for your partner globally or specifically in Asia, contact us, and we have a marketing tool for CEO or CTOs in Korea. So you can reach them directly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would just briefly touch we hear startups. What are startups? Startups looking for finance, as I mentioned, and they are looking for customers. Let me touch briefly the financing issue. The typical cycle of a startup going from deep losses to high profit. For each stage, if you're a fast-growing company with a potential, needs some money. What is there? There are different kinds of money you can access. There's one thing everybody starts, but soon finds out it doesn't work, is the bank loan. To go with your idea to the bank and ask for money. At least in Germany, that doesn't work. It only works if you make revenue, if you have profitable. I see somebody nodding. This is from our coaching. The first thing we have to tell them, there is no money on the bank for startups. But there is money available. There is public financing, there is seed capital, there are later stage VCs, business angel, incubators, founders, friends and family, and public funding. There are tools. You have to just find and select carefully and look around where to find money. Not everybody finds money. There are three types of entrepreneurs. One is a guy, a girl, a woman just starting as an engineer doing stuff. One person company, own funds, no other way in our opinion. If you're a little bit bigger, like craft business, more people, you need investments, debt, loan, because you invested something. And there's the third category, where we also in BayStartUP primarily focus on these kind of company with a large growth potential. Only these are possible to find investment. What do you need to find an investor? If you belong to the startup, the last category, you need an innovation, you need an USP, you need revenue potential, and you need a team. Well, everybody will raise their hands and say, yes, I have that well, but you also need this little thing: proof of technology, proof of market, and a revenue model. What does it mean? You have to prove that your idea works. You have to prove that it has an USP. You have to prove that the revenue model really generates money. Only then you can probably find investors like business angel or venture capitalists. This distribution shows, it's not from me, it's from another source. But they found out who needs which source for financing. Well, surprisingly, own saving, that's how it starts. Let me just highlight three. Okay, own savings we found. This doesn't add up to 100%. But 80% of all entrepreneurs use own funds. Business angel 23% and venture capital only 16%, just to give you an impression. So if you want to have venture capital, you must, well, it's not too many startups who get venture capital. That's all. Only a small impression. We continue with the pitching. Next on stage is Contunity. No, you're not Contunity. Contunity, founded 2018. You're a presenter. You just tell us what you do.
Hi everyone, I'm Tobias. I'm co-founder of Contunity, and we developed a software that automates the development of embedded systems. So let me start off with how the development process looks like now. You typically have 5 steps to cover. That's component selection, schematics, PCB layout, as well as the software for your embedded system, which can be separated into base software and application software. Within all those steps is manual engineering work. You have to look through multiple or hundreds of pages of data sheets to find components that suit your needs. You can then need to look at reference designs to combine all of that together to schematics, and then go into the PCB layout. On top of that, all of that is a iterative process where you need to try that multiple times to find your solution. On top of that, you need your software to run on the microcontrollers. That can be, as I said, be a base software and application software. You have some base software part from, for example, chip manufacturers, and develop the application software through some tools or manually. We are changing that by providing an easy-to-use tool where you create a diagram, press a button, and download your required output files. Our software does these 5 steps all automatically. So we use your input and you used in the diagram, and select components that fit those needs, combine them together in a schematic, and generate a PCB layout. And all of that can be done within a few minutes. And you can get from your first idea to a prototype within a very short time. And on top of that, we translate the diagram into model-based software development, and also generate the application and base software for your product. So we have a software tool where you can get from requirement definition to your first prototype or pre-series development unit within a few minutes. And we envision a future where all of these steps are connected together. You have one tool providing every solution, but where does the engineer then come in? The engineer, in our opinion, should focus on the complex and creative part within those designs. And within every step, we allow the engineer to come in, look at our defaults, and select different components or change our generated design, so that the engineer can focus on the highly complex part and the creative and innovation behind it. The overall process can be viewed as a block diagram, similar to model-based software development, but in our case, it's model-based software and hardware development. Within, for example, if in PCB layout, you can look at the different generated files from us and adapt components, switch them around, move them on your board, and get the final design as fast as possible. And with that, we make engineering scalable. That means you can have a very fast design and get that done as soon as possible. We did that with a team out of university. Our company is more or less 1 year old, and the project evolved a few years ago from university. And we are currently running a pilot phase where we are looking for innovative partners who want to use our software to get that their first design as fast as possible. Thank you very much. I'm Toby.
Do you have any references, first customers?
So, as I said, right now we are in the pilot phase.
Yeah.
We are starting running some pilot projects, evaluating our software.
In which industry are you currently active?
We're focusing on industrial IoT applications. But our software can in general be adapted to many different fields.
And do you belong to the VC financed startup companies, or do you?
We did a business angel funding round a few months ago, and are planning on raising the next funding round mid of this year to build that software and that overall platform. And
how was your experience? Was it a good process or a very stressful time to raise money?
So for that business angel round we did, that was actually fairly straightforward. We knew that business angel since 1.5 years. He was kind of our business coach and mentor for that project.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Toposens from Munich. Sensors, the stage is for you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Barbara, and I will introduce you to Toposens now in the next few minutes. So Toposens developed the first 3D sensor that is based entirely on ultrasound, and with that we basically want to enable vision for technology, also, for autonomous cars, but also robots, and that also in very difficult environments, as you will see in a second. So right now you have a lot of sensors, especially 3D sensors, available based on various technologies. But however, all of them have a few problems. For example, you have problems with different lighting conditions, with darkness, with direct sunlight. You have problems with transparent or reflective surfaces. You have problems with protruding objects and so on, or with special objects such as curbstones and so on. We use a completely different approach. We use ultrasound. So this is our sensor. That's the complete sensor that we need, the sensor module. It's a 3D sensor that is meant for covering the near-field environment around any autonomous vehicle or robot. And the special thing about this is you might be familiar with ultrasound. It's been there for a long time. However, common ultrasonic sensors, they only give you the 1D distance information to the first object, whereas what we give you is really a point cloud, a full 3D point cloud, which means X, Y, and Z coordinates for every reflection that's available. And the other thing is we use completely standard hardware components. Our know-how is in our software that's in our system, in our embedded software. So what does near field mean? Near field for us means 0 to 5 meters around a vehicle. And we can scan up to 180 degrees with a frame rate of up to 30 frames per second. What we do is we basically use the principle of echolocation, as you might know it from bats. We're sending out ultrasonic pulses. They're reflected by objects, persons, everything. Signal comes back to the sensor. And what's special now is that we have a microcontroller in our system that can really calculate the 3D positions, so X, Y, and Z, for every reflection there. We are focusing on 2 main markets. One is automotive, and the other thing is robotics. And what we want to do there is really create a 3D map of the near-field environment around the vehicle. So this map then you can basically use for a lot of applications, such as ADAS applications, such as reverse automatic emergency braking, or automated or valet parking. But you can also use it in autonomous driving, especially at slow speeds, for example, autonomous parking. Then in robotics, you can use it, for example, in consumer robotics, such as vacuum cleaners, but also think about cleaning robots in supermarkets, where there are a lot of glass walls, for example, which are really difficult to see for optical systems. So we can do collision avoidance there, we can do mapping, we can do localization, also apply the sensor to industrial applications. We've worked together in a lot of projects and with various customers from automotive and other fields. The next step on our roadmap is that we are launching a low-cost sensor version that we are giving to our customers so they can test our system, test it, prototype of it. It's coming in June and it's going to be €250 sensor. We're a startup from Munich. We were founded in 2015 by our 3 founders. We've got a patented technology. It's the only 3D ultrasonic sensor worldwide. And as you can see here, we've already worked together with a couple of very interesting customers in the automotive, robotics, but also in other industries. And yes, if you want to know more about us, we have a booth over there in the startup area. Come see us. Thank you.
I see you already have an US address.
Yes, we do.
Very unusual for a small startup.
It's not a big engineering site or anything. We have a sales representative there because we have a space in a co-working space in Sunnyvale. Okay. But it's a very interesting market for us. That's why we're there. Okay.
Ultrasonic, you already mentioned it's an old technology. Radar is perhaps your biggest competitor. How do you differentiate to radar components?
Yeah, so radar has other difficulties than we do. especially, for example, different materials, it cannot see, for example, that well. That's where we are good at. Cost is a very important factor, and build size and is also a very important factor.
Okay. Thank you very much. So now we continue with Hensoldt. Hensoldt from famous Taufkirchen in Bayern. You got your pointer.
Yes.
And
so
you tell us what you do.
In the next 5 minutes, I would like to give you a short intro on a new cybersecurity startup based also in Munich called Hensoldt Cyber. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marian. I'm the CEO of Hensoldt Cyber, but also I'm heading Hensoldt Ventures. So Hensoldt Ventures, Hensoldt Cyber sounds a little bit complex. Let's have a look what is behind. Hensoldt is a 4,500 people organization, so therefore we are not a startup. Last year we made 1.2 billion in order intake, more than 1 billion in revenues, and we are coming, obviously, if you look to the picture, from the defense and security world. We are a former Airbus organization which was sold 2 years back to one of the biggest investors, KKR, and is now an independent company. Well, one of our biggest challenges as a bigger corporation is to stay agile and to be innovative. So therefore, we inaugurated a new site inside Hensoldt, which is called Hensoldt Ventures. Hensoldt Ventures is not a classical venture fund. It is more like a startup incubator where we spin in and spin out ideas out of Hensoldt. We add teams, we add budget to that, but we also look for partners, smaller startups, which we join forces and build something out of that. The first venture we did was Hensoldt Cyber. We inaugurated the company 12 months back, and our promise is that we find a way to protect the Internet of Things against cyber threats by applying the highest military standards to those components. Why is that so important? Well, if you look around on the exhibition, you hear many people that the devices are hacked every day. We are coming from the security world, and we would like to change that. For example, to allow our customers to get certifications like the international standards, like the EN 62443. The problem is, how can you get those certifications if you build currently products based on very unsecure basis? We buy components, unfortunately, from untrusted suppliers currently. We buy in China, we buy in Korea, we buy in the US. We have no idea what is in the hardware. And then we combine it with operating systems, also from untrusted suppliers, for example, from the United States, where we don't know really what is happening inside the software. Well, Hensoldt Cyber would like to change that. Because we would, instead of doing a little bit of IT security, where we add some software on top of this very unsecure basis, we would like to change that and deliver a secure IT. How do we like to do that? First of all, we develop our own hardware based on RISC-V. You can see it here. We develop this microprocessors because we would like to control the entire process from the development till the production. And there are also some other things inside which I unfortunately can't disclose now. And then we combine this with a very secure operating system based on SEL4 microkernel. The SEL4 microkernel gives us one huge advantage. The software is mathematically verified. That means we know exactly what happened inside the software, and we can prove this to our clients. A very secure hardware with a very secure software is now the new basis that we provide to our clients and customers, where they can build unhackable and very, very secure hardware out of that. We are based in Munich. We grow the company in the last 12 months from 0 employees to 25 employees. We are currently hiring again 10 people. The aim is to become 50 employees at the end of the year. Next year, we would like to reach more than 100. We combine two very, very lovely things. We live the dream of a startup. The people work in a startup environment. We act like a startup. We live like a startup. We also pitch like a startup. We also need to pitch for inside Hensoldt. But we also leverage the existing of a big mother company who is protecting us, giving us international sites. We have more than 400 sales guys out there which we can use. So we are combining the best from both worlds. So if you are interested in working in such an environment, well, we are looking for people. That's the biggest challenge we currently have. If you look for being a startup and also protected by a bigger corporation, well, then Hensoldt Cyber is definitely the best place to be at the moment in Germany. And this is exactly why we are here. We are also over there. You see our sign. We are at 533. And we would be very happy to talk to you about your future also in Hensoldt Cyber. Thank you. I hope I was quick enough.
Very good. Hensoldt, a few words, how do you achieve entrepreneur, a startup in a large organization?
Well, that's definitely one of my biggest challenges every day, right? So a bigger corporation such as Hensoldt is full of processes to deliver very, very big projects like Tornado, Eurofighter, and other bigger aircrafts, for example. You need to have very large processes, which makes a company very slow. So we try to be the opposite. And therefore, we spin out everything, and the whole company, Hensoldt Cyber, for example, it's a completely entire independent company which has nothing to do with Hensoldt. So we are completely free. We are not binded to processes. We sign our own contracts. We really do everything by ourselves. I just mentioned the example, my team was in MediaMarkt buying computers. So because if I rely on a bigger corporation, it will most likely take weeks to get those computers.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, very interesting.
Thank you.
Next on stage is company Z-Wave. Before we start with Z-Wave, I will do my short presentation on, because it fits actually very nicely with Hensoldt. It's about, we mentioned before, startups looking for financing. Now they have financing. What do they need next? They need customers. Startups and cooperation. This is also a big issue. Usually what startups love is to have large customers, large companies. There are two things to watch. There are goals of corporates and there are goals of startups. And these have to be, for example, the corporate is looking for improve their image. They're happy to show their logo on a startup event, for example. They're looking to improve their culture of innovation by cooperating with startups, or they just are looking around for new products or new business ideas. Or they're looking for exclusivity. Yes, I'll take this idea, but I want it exclusive. They watch out for new business models. On the other hand, startups, what they want the knowledge of the large corporation. They want paid orders, revenues. They want access to markets and customers. They want financing. And they want to ensure that they still remain their entrepreneurial freedom. These are really, if you look at this slide, very different goals. So what I would like to tell you, it's very important that at a very early stage, both partners talk very clearly about their expectations, and hopefully they find a match, because this is the prerequisite to continue the discussions. Where does it make sense to cooperate? I have here two segments. One is the product area, and the other is are the processes. For example, you have stuff in a startup to improve the current core business. Very difficult. If you are touching the core business by cooperating with a startup, yeah. Future business topics makes more sense. There is not a business that generates a lot of money, but this will be the future. So here you are much open from a corporate perspective to cooperate with startups. And the third, something you didn't even think about yet, but you start thinking about because you meet a startup. This makes also a lot of sense. And there we see a lot of openness in large entities to cooperate with startups. Or I would say the processes are like a matrix. It could be processes in regards to sales, into data handling, security, what we just mentioned. So somewhere here, the cooperation between startups and corporates makes sense. What we offer to corporates, we as BayStartUP, is to help them look for startups, to help them set up the processes internally to be able to successfully cooperate with startups, and to also establish something like entrepreneur insights, entrepreneur within larger corporations. That's all. We continue Did we reach Z-Wave? Ah, very good. So we continue with Z-Wave.
Yeah, hello. I'm Sergey Mironov from zwave.me, and here I am to present you the easy and inexpensive way to go certification of home appliances. Okay, what we present here is prototyping and development board for pilot series for Z-Wave automation. Our board is based on Arduino ideology, so it's really simple. And once you connect our board to home appliance, and our main customers are actually home appliance engineers, you will be able to manage your device via voice. For example, it is compatible with Alexa, with Home Assistant, with their you will be able to your device will be manageable via various mobile application, and your device will be able to connect to over 3,000 types of devices worldwide. And first of all, I would like to say a few words about Z-Wave protocol, which is not so largely promoted as, for example, Zigbee or Bluetooth Low Energy. That's why I would point out some figures about Z-Wave, which is, it was sold over 100 million devices worldwide, which is large, and over 20 million households worldwide owns it. So the market is rather large. Another word about the technology is it is not we who own the technology. It is Silicon Labs, large and stable company. But what we do is we provide the prototyping and development board to shorten the development stage. And also a few words about Z-Wave ecosystem is that there are plenty of hubs already localized for different regions. And once you connect to, once you implement Z-Wave into your home appliance, you can go to other regions because all the hubs are localized, and that means that not only the interface is translated to other language, but the manufacturers of hubs know how to deal with local clients, know their needs, and know how to penetrate there. So you won't have any difficulties with the penetrations of other markets. Again, to our prototyping and development board, so it's based on Arduino, and we ourselves with our model implement some basic functions of our smart home automation. It means that we ourselves implement power efficiency, which is really important for battery devices. We implement security, mesh network to extend the range. And also, we implement the simplicity of installation, which is really good for end-user experience. And the engineer of home appliance only needs to implement the device-specific functions. And usually, it takes not more than 100 lines of code. That's why it takes, I would say, 1 to 2 days to make the first prototype. What about price? Now we resell our prototyping and development module for €25, which can seem to be 5 times more than the cost of basic unit by Silicon Labs. But we say that we are more cost effective, and I will explain why. First of all, this year we sell it for €20, so we provide the discount for those who make the certification this year and provide the testimonial. And the second, here we have the calculation of price efficiency, where we compare the utilizing of basic chip by Silicon Lab and our one. So once you go with the Z-Wave smartification, with basic chip by Silicon Labs, you need to hire well-trained engineer. Let's say it will be 3,000 euro per month, which is too optimistic, I would say. But anyways, multiply it by 2 because of taxes and overheads, and multiply it by 6. It's the period of standard development. And also, if you add the price of basic components, which is basic chip plus memory and plus filter, you will come to price of 50,000 euro for 2,000 pieces, 2,000 devices. With our chip, it will be only 40. So here's how you can save your money. So that's how we do it. So as a conclusion, we suggest those home appliance manufacturers who want to go with smartification to use these steps. First of all, join existing ecosystem of Z-Wave, which is huge and have rather much customers inside it. Then produce some small number of devices just to test the compatibility and show to the product owner that everything is working. Then go for field tests, marketing tests, if all the features goes well, if the feedback is okay, and price sensitivity is okay. And then you can go to mass production, and with mass production, we also have the solution how to go below the price of our unit, and we can go even to 10 or 30 euro per device, which is quite okay for such type of device. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, you can address me or my colleague, and I can answer right now. Any questions?
What are typical examples for applications, typical customers you have currently?
Yeah.
I think you're not only in Russia active, if I remember correctly, you also have a Finnish customer.
Yeah, we have Finnish customer in Ireland, for example. It's a heater. So they decided to go Z-Wave because they already have a huge client which produces thermostats, and this client want to sell not just thermostats but some set of devices for heating. So the producers of heaters they say, okay, we need this compliance to Z-Wave because their client use the Z-Wave. So their engineer actually made the first prototype in 2 days. He said, okay, I know Arduino, but actually I don't know how to deal with this smart home automation, but it doesn't matter because you guys are done all by yourselves. I need only to control my own device, which I know exactly how to do it. So yes, they have done it in 2 days. It was a presentation to headquarters. They said, okay, we should go further. They produced approximately 1,000 devices, and now they are testing the market. So now it's this stage. And as they say, okay, now it goes rather good. So now they're thinking about this mass production, but not yet done. But okay.
Do you see any obstacles for a Russian company to enter European markets, a startup company, or is it easy?
Well, definitely to conquer the The foreign market is not easy as a local one. I cannot say any other words, but you know, once we have a good product, once we help to save money for customers, it goes rather well. Yeah, we need more customers. We need more marketing effort here. That's true. But once we present our product to customers who needs it in the moment, then no problem.
So the technological solution convinces the customer.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next one is Edgit. You are in foundation, in Gründung, wie man auf Deutsch sagt. 3 people currently?
Yes, 3 people at the moment, but hopefully expanding.
Wow. Okay, you tell us what you want to do.
Yes, thank you. So, wir sind Edgit, wir sind Spin-off von der Transferplattform für Industrie 4.0 am Standort Hochschule Aalen und wir wollen es kleinen und mittelständischen Unternehmen ermöglichen, ihren Datenverkehr zu überwachen und zu analysieren. Schäden in Deutschland durch Cybercrime, gerade für kleine und mittelständische Unternehmen, ist nicht zu vernachlässigen. Beispielsweise 2017 haben sich die Schäden im Durchschnitt bei kleinen Unternehmen auf 11.900 € pro Jahr, Zahlen natürlich nur steigend, ausgeartet. Wie oft wird Ihr Unternehmen täglich angegriffen? 9% aller Unternehmen werden täglich angegriffen, 19% aller Unternehmen mindestens einmal pro Woche. Diese Zahlen steigen natürlich auch immer stetig. Somit sehen wir, dass da ein Handlungsbedarf ist, um diesem negativen Aspekt der Cyberkriminalität entgegenzuwirken, um Kosten für die Unternehmen zu sparen. Unsere Leistung, unser Edgit CM-Produkt von der Transferplattform bietet kleinen und mittelständischen Unternehmen die Überwachung ihrer industriellen Netzwerkkommunikation und somit eine Visualisierung von Bedrohungen, Schwachstellen und Netzwerkveränderungen, somit dass sie rechtzeitig und schnell während einer Bedrohung oder durch eine Bedrohung eingreifen können. Die Umsetzung folgt folgendermaßen, dass in einem IoT-Netz die Maschinendaten nicht frei und ohne Rückwirkung zur Verfügung stehen, sprich, die sind in dem Datenfluss, in den Datenleitungen gefangen und stehen keinen übergeordneten Funktionen zur Verfügung. Unser Lösungsweg ist deswegen mit einem sogenannten Datensensoren, wie Sie hier auch im Bild sehen, diese Daten abzuhören. Ein Beispielsfall wäre dann natürlich so, dass man hier unten verschiedene Maschinen hat, die mit Hilfe von 3 in diesem Fall Datensensoren die Daten nur mitsniffen, also nur mithören und in einer kompletten separierten Edge mit Hilfe eines neuronalen Netzes, welches auf die standardmäßige Kommunikation der IoT-Kommunikation trainiert ist. Und sobald eine Anomalie, beispielsweise ein DOS-Angriff oder eine gezielte Attacke auftritt, diese durch weitere Algorithmik verarbeitet und visualisiert dem Kunden wiedergibt, sodass er weiß, an welcher Maschine ein Stillstand zu erwarten ist oder was für ein Angriff stattgefunden hat, um zielgerichtet dem Angriff gegenzuwirken. Unser Angebot ist somit, dass wir ein Security as a Service bzw. unser Produkt Ihnen vermieten und bei Ihnen einbauen und Sie erkennen damit Risiken in Ihrem Netzwerk und wir minimieren Ihnen die Cyberrisiken, reduzieren ungeplante Ausfallzeiten bzw. reduzieren diese Ausfallzeiten und somit dadurch, dass wir unser Produkt an Sie vermieten, haben Sie keine großen Anschaffungskosten. Unser Produkt ist auch einfach skalierbar durch die modulare Aufbauweise und kann schnell auf eine große Produktionsanlage ausgeweitet werden. Wir sind Edgit und wir bieten Ihrem kleinen Unternehmen Condition Monitoring für Ihren Datenverkehr. Vielen Dank.
Jetzt müssen Sie schon noch ein paar Dinge erklären.
Ja, natürlich.
Da oben steht der Steinbeis. Wie hängt denn Steinbeis damit zusammen? Was macht denn Steinbeis in dieser Gründungsthematik?
Steinbeis ist eine Stiftung, die hat verschiedene Institute. Dazu gehört auch die Transferzentren, die Steinbeis betreibt. Und die Transferplattform für Industrie 4.0 von Baden-Württemberg ist ein Teil von diesen Transferzentren und wir machen das auch, wir unterstützen kleine und mittelständische Unternehmen im Weg der Digitalisierung. Wir unterstützen die, helfen die Forschungsprojekte anzuleiten und vermitteln die hochschulintern an die Institute, die für ihre Anwendungsfälle entsprechend ausgerüstet sind und dort Wissen haben. Und wir als Transferplattform in Aalen haben ein Projekt gehabt, wo wir dieses bereits erwähnte neuronale Netz in einem Forschungsprojekt entwickelt haben und wollen das jetzt sozusagen als Produkt auf den Markt bringen, um den KMUs auch wieder zur Verfügung zu stellen, um sich gerade in Sachen Cyberattacken rüsten zu können.
Edgit, technologische Alleinstellung, sind dort Patente mit involviert? Ist das aus der Uni heraus entstanden?
Das ist aus der Hochschule heraus entstanden. Unser großer Vorteil im Vergleich zu Konkurrenzprodukten ist, dass wir eine Edge-basierte Lösung haben. Also wir bleiben im System drin, die Daten verlassen das Unternehmen nicht. Andere Unternehmen, die ähnliche Services anbieten, scannen permanent das Umfeld des IoT-Netzes. Wir nicht. Wir lesen nur mit. Wir können nicht in die vorherrschende Datenkommunikation hineinschreiben und somit auch nicht gehackt. Also wenn unser System gehackt wird, hat es keinen negativen Einfluss auf die vorherrschende Dateninfrastruktur.
Was schätzen Sie, bis wann wird die Gründung erfolgen? Hängt vielleicht auch ein bisschen davon ab, wie die Resonanz hier auf der Messe ist.
Genau, ja. Also wir werden uns zeitnah probieren weiterzukommen, das Produkt weiterzuentwickeln. Wir werden auch noch auf der HMI vertreten sein, da können Sie uns auch besuchen an einem Stand, um dort halt auch nochmal Kunden zu finden. Was wir aktuell auf der Suche sind, ist ein Pilotkunde oder ein Projektpartner, mit dem wir das Produkt voranbringen können, also wirklich in seinem Unternehmen entwickeln können und gerade auf Ansprüche oder Wünsche von Kunden einzugehen, weil was der Kunde nachher will, das können wir natürlich nur ahnen, aber was er will, das kann er uns sagen und dann ein gutes Produkt mit uns entwickeln.
Also alle gehört, hinten anstellen, drüben auf dem Messestand bei Edgit.
Genau.
Gut,
vielen Dank.
So, das nächste Unternehmen ist die Firma Cedalo.
Hello. Okay, perfect. This works. Hi, I'm Philip. Nice to meet you all. I'm excited to give you an introduction to Stream Sheets. These are actually spreadsheets which talk to machines, apps, and services. And one of the big highlights actually is that you use your spreadsheet skills to control data streams and build microservices. But let's just start at the beginning, basically. So if you look at a business or a process, it is actually nothing else but a series or a stream of events that are happening and which you react to. So for example, an order, a transaction, or a sensor reading, or you have devices and machines which do something, and the same applies to microservices. And actually all of these build one large data stream. And then you react to them, so you want to interact with them, so you have condition monitoring, mobile apps, web apps, rule engines, so you want to actually decide something based on the data which you're getting. Analytics, you want to do some predictive analysis, something very familiar, reporting probably, or you just want to store the whole thing in a database. So virtually you just have many, many data streams, which you can think of as one big chunk of data stream. But the problem is, if you want to interact with this data stream, you need to know, or you want to process it, for example, you want to analyze it, visualize it, or you might even want to simulate a part of it. You need to be a programmer to interact with that, to build the app, the service which does that. And the problem with that is that most people are not programmers. However, a user interface that most people are familiar with, and that's actually capable of building great logic, are spreadsheets. For that reason, we chose a spreadsheet interface, actually, and that lets you build IoT apps and services, and basically just by linking cells and applying formulas which you already know. So stream sheets are server-based, real-time spreadsheets for stream processing. We're just going to dive into real quick what that actually means or is. So you have this data stream which can come or go to CRMs, ERP systems, PLCs, and you want to have something which you can work with to interact with this data stream. So you hook it up. In our case, it would be via REST, MQTT, Kafka, or OPC-UA. AMQP is missing on the slide, but that works as well. Of course, you have all the elements we've just seen on the slides before. And now the big question is, what do you actually do, or what does it feel to work with the stream sheet? You work directly on the data streams. You firsthand see actually what you're getting. You drag and drop the data in, or just the parts of it which are actually interesting for you. Then you link the cells like you know it from Excel, so like referencing basically. You just use the same formulas like VLOOKUPs, sum functions, averages. You build basically the same chart. But the difference there is that the charts are dynamic because everything recalculates itself. And you can also create, for example, custom charts like this nice little robot down here in the left corner. And this way you're actually working directly on the data stream, and you can send also data back into the stream. Typical use cases are, for example, stream analytics, condition monitoring, so for example, checking temperature sensors, whether they go above a threshold or not, real-time dashboards, a little bit of what we've just seen, rule engines, so taking really dynamic decisions every time something happens, pre-processing of your data, so for example, taking various sensor data together, building averages, KPIs. You can simulate a data source. You can convert different protocols. So for example, you have your sensors sending data via MQTT and you want to expose the whole thing as an OPC-UA server, no problem. The other way around, you have OPC-UA data and want to send that to the cloud, so you can't, you have to tunnel that. And for that reason, you can use, for example, MQTT or Kafka. Pre-processing for other systems. So for example, you have an AI system which you want to use, or you have a machine which needs a certain data structure, you can build it up in the stream sheet. And many more use cases actually. Some of our clients so far. And now really quickly the highlights and advantages on one last slide. You save a tremendous amount of time because you have no lengthy briefings. Your process owners are basically digitizing the process themselves. They don't need to hire a programmer, so this way it's also getting a lot cheaper. Little training required because who doesn't know Excel? Hardly anyone. Interactive development, you really go formula by formula and see whether what you're building makes actually sense or not. So it's not writing, for example, a script, compiling the whole thing, it works, but in the end it doesn't do what it's actually supposed to do. One united team, so you suddenly have OT also working directly together with IT because you have a spreadsheet which actually everybody's familiar with. And on the other hand, you're really directly working on the data and can send something, for example, to services, applications that programmers are building. So you save money, time, you empower the people who actually have also process expertise, so the ones you already have, and you're becoming incredibly agile. Yes, that's me. We are right over there, also in the startup area, so stop by after the presentation. I'd love to talk to you. So I'd be open for questions now.
I love Excel, so I like the software, but what is your biggest competitors? Is it MES systems or ERP systems? You're somewhere in the middle?
Yes, somewhere in the middle. Not necessarily, for example, not PLC. So the whole thing can work like a PLC, kind of, that's true, but more like a soft PLC, so we are actually working quite well together with them. Competitors are actually other companies that try to kind of do the same thing, and typically that involves coding. So that's actually one of the biggest parts where we can distinguish us from competitors. That's really absolutely code-free. Everything is contained within there and purely done by Excel. It's not Excel, it's a spreadsheet, but it looks like that.
But what is the difference, the main differentiator? Is it really the nice user interface that you make software, complicated software, nice to work with?
it's a combination of you can work on with many different protocols, for example, that also have different communication patterns. So Kafka and MQTT and PubSub based. On the other hand, you have REST and OPC which are client server based, and you can bring them together really, really nicely. And so from the technological side, that works. And then on top of that, you have a user interface to actually control and define how that's supposed to happen, which you're already familiar with. So it's really the combination of these two main pillars.
How are you financed? It founded 2017. In the meantime, how many people?
We are 10 people, and we are bootstrapped mainly. And then also our clients are paying something. That's also quite helpful. Yes.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And good luck for the fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, I already see you coming, Memfault from San Jose in California. San Francisco, right. I should read, I have glasses. So, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So we're Memfault. We're from San Francisco, and I'm the founder and CEO. And we're going to talk about shipping firmware with confidence. I know it's a marketing phrase. It doesn't mean a lot. But first, who we are. So we're a bunch of engineers who have worked on many consumer electronics products. We've worked at places like Fitbit, Oculus, Sun Microsystems, and Pebble, if you know the watches. And everywhere, we've run into similar problems. Software delivery and monitoring for hardware companies is very difficult. There are very few vendors who actually put that all together. In fact, they were none until we started. But really, where this starts is one key insight, which is that the era of fire and forget firmware is over. And the reason it's over is that you have a Macintosh 128 or better in everything that surrounds you. Those devices can run non-trivial software, and if you have non-trivial software, you start running into non-trivial problems. If you have 1 million lines of code, I guarantee you your code has 1,000 defects in it. Go ahead, take a look. And so we started thinking about what kind of tools do we need to build to reckon with this new world. And so we started with what we call Memfault OTA. It's a platform to deliver firmware to the correct devices from the cloud. Then we built Memfault Traces, which is a diagnostics solution, which collects data live from the devices in the field and gives you a holistic view of the health of your fleet and specific issues that customers are running into. And Memfault Insights, which is an analytics solution for hardware companies. I'll go into a little bit of details into the three of them. So, Memfault OTA, what is that? What we strive to do here is have one-click deploy for hardware teams. So you should be able to go into a very nice UI, upload a new firmware, select which devices you want to receive it, click, and have those devices receive that firmware. Sounds nice. You can also do stage rollouts. You may want to start pushing your firmware to a small percentage of your fleet, 5%, 10%, 20%. And monitor how that firmware update works. Like, what's your adoption? Are people having a firmware update failures or successes? Once you've got firmware updates on your devices, it would be nice to know how they're doing. The state of the art today is your customers call you. They call you, they say, it doesn't work, fix it. Well, that's not very useful, is it? You don't know, the customer doesn't describe the state of the device. They just tell you it doesn't work. They're upset, so that's not great as a business to have upset customers, and you have to pay customer support agents to handle the call. Wouldn't you rather know that the device is having a problem and be able to fix it and notify the customer yourself? I think that's the way this relationship should work. So in order to do that, we have a small SDK that we embed into your firmware, and we allow you to collect diagnostics, some analytics, some usage data, so that we can do a little bit of analysis on the back end and figure out what it is that's happening on the devices, what kind of problems they're running into, and why. We want to give you the ability to root cause those issues without warranty replacing the devices. Last but not least, insights. How is your customer using your device? What kind of battery life are you seeing in the field? What's the average RSSI, and how many bytes are you able to send over your wireless interface? Those are really nice things to know. So we have a simple key value pair analytics system that we can again integrate into your firmware and collect on the back end. You can either consume it with simple visualizations on our platform, or you can forward it to your own data store or BI system. Supported platforms. So today we focus mostly on embedded systems, whether they be Bluetooth connected or Wi-Fi connected, cellular connected, LoRa, low power wide area networks. We can do it all. You know, bare metal or RTOS works fine for us. And we're working on both embedded Linux and Android as a future improvement. If you're interested in those, I'd love to talk to you. What does the integration look like? As I said, we have a small SDK that integrates into your firmware, very small footprint, mostly focused on ARM MCUs. And we have a cloud solution which we offer, which actually aggregates the data and gives you the insight and alerts that you need. We can also work with a gateway. If you're Bluetooth connected, you probably don't have direct cloud access. So we give you an SDK for iOS or Android or any kind of gateway, and you can use that SDK to get your events to the cloud. My time's up. That's it for me, but I'd love to talk to you. We're right over there with all the other startups. Thank you.
You mentioned, actually, did you mention it over there, the application of the smartwatch?
Yeah, so I worked in smartwatches for a while, and this is where this started. So, you know, I worked at a company called Pebble. It was a startup that did a Kickstarter. You may have heard of it. And we had this kind of traumatic event that happened, which is that we once shipped a firmware update that bricked devices. And we shipped the firmware update, and we went to sleep, and we were none the wiser. And we woke up the next morning, and we each had thousands of emails in our mailbox because the support email address just went to the engineers. It was a moment of sheer panic. We reverted the firmware. Everybody was freaking out. By the time we realized what had happened, we had bricked 10,000 units. That was 20% of our fleet at the time. It was a huge liability. So we took all those units, we put them in the middle of the engineering pod, and we started building this kind of stuff.
Is that a standardized software, or does it need configuration, customer-specific configuration?
So it's mostly a standard SDK with very light integration based on your specific use case. But if you're running on an ARM MCU and you have some RAM and you have some flash, we can work with that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wanted to keep it, but okay. Next on stage, Inecosys. Inecosys, startup from Bavaria as well, from Munich area. No, Munich. Yeah. Munich. Funded.
Funded by the HTGF. So the High Tech Gründerfonds is one of our investors.
Yep. You're about how many people?
Right at the moment, with students, we are 13 people. So we've raised the numbers of employees from 4 last year, in the beginning of last year, to 13 now.
So we're interested what you're doing. Go ahead.
Thank you. So what Inecosys is building is a rapid serious development platform. It means very fast from a prototype to a serious version, which is delivered in low numbers to the customer. We think about a process where research, pre-development, serious development, and product is connected in an agile and iterative way. So as you know, from software development, there is an agile software development, but in the hardware is always a straightforward, known from the V model development. So what is the problem? Typically, in different phases during the development, you use different hardware and different software. In the research and pre-development phase, people are using expensive hardware, high-level software like graphical programming language and stuff like that. In the serious development, typically you use very low-price hardware, specialized software, so there's a switch from prototyping to the serious development. Typically, you bridge this gap by having requirement specifications written and functional specifications written, and by that you have a high time effort, redundancy, and no synergies are leveraged. So how does the solution look like? We have a baseboard with a microcontroller and an FPGA on the left-hand side, which is used with standard modules that we develop for our customer. And on top of the hardware that we supply, the customer himself or we develop customer individual modules, such as power stages or signal conditioning boards and stuff like that. Also, it's possible to develop your own software on the FPGA and the microcontroller. We are using LabVIEW in this case, so it's an easy and fast access and an easy and fast start point for your development. In a second phase, which is the selection phase, it's mainly the series development. And the series development looks like we just reduce the numbers of channels that are needed to the ones that are needed in the series product. Or we enlarge the number depending on special requirements like safety requirements and stuff like that that come up during the series development. And in a third phase, we are in the product, so we have an automated generation of the product depending on the specifications of the customer, the boundary models of the customer, and integrate all the hardware and all the software that is produced and developed in the pre-development phase automatically in the series product after that. So there is no real serious development again. We are using the same hardware, the same software, so we skip one step in the development process. So what are the target customers? Well, mainly we are facing on fast control loops or very complex control systems. We are only limited to up to 20,000 units. Otherwise, the price will be too high for our hardware in the series. And a unit costs at least €1,000. There's always the FPGA integrated in the series model, so there will always be a basic price of at least €1,000 per unit. So who is the target? Well, it's energy with ship engines and plants and energy plants, manufacturing and production systems such as manufacturing machines, but also end-of-line systems or end-of-line testers in the production facilities, durability testers we are currently applying for projects. Also transportation, construction machines, mining and agriculture, so everywhere where a large or an expensive machine is produced, with low numbers, and also health tech and kind of security, as we are using the FPGA during the series product as well. It's very secure to run it in a special environment. So what are the benefits? Of course, as we are using the code through the process, the R&D code can be used in the series as well. Another thing is the time to market. As we are skipping one part during the development, the series development is only in small integration work, we are accelerating the time to the market. And also by that, reducing the costs. So typically in a project, there's a bias between non-recurring engineering costs and the cost per unit. And in our case, the non-recurring costs go down, but the cost per unit go up. So at one point, there will be a break even between costs and non-recurring engineering costs. So finally, the team, we are 3 founders out of the Technical University in Munich. We raised the team, as said before, to 13 members right now, where 7 are full-time employed and 6 are students. We are always hiring for new people from, especially in the hardware area, we're searching for people who are able to design hardware and develop boards. We have a background of combustion engines and control systems in combustion engines area, so we are working a lot with tier 1 supplier in the automotive industry right at the moment. And next year we are raising a second financing round, hopefully with the support of BayStartUP, which will be addressed in March next year about that. So thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me directly here at the booth over there, or feel free to contact me by email. Thank you.
Complicated product, interesting company story. Again, the difference between R&D and series, that you need so totally different development kits. How does that come?
Well,
yeah,
if you think, so it might be the best slide for that is here. If you come from, for example, from the automotive industry and you produce a hardware later in for example, 1 million per year, then it's completely, the most important thing is to reduce the cost per unit. Because if it's 10 euro per unit, then you have 10 million euro a year you pay for a piece of hardware. So what is important for those large numbers? It's to reduce the cost in the series. But a lot of customers have an interest, so they have low numbers like 5 or 10 or 20 units that they want to sell later in the product. And if they approach it like the normal approach, having a research and pre-development phase on an expensive hardware, and again, put a lot of effort to reduce the cost for the series hardware, it's not necessary. So what they typically do, they use the RCP system from the prototyping and integrate it in the series. So they pay a lot of money for a series product. And we are in the middle between that. We have a lower price for the series product than if you use the prototyping unit, but a higher price than normal series product would be.
Good. What is your plans for the future? This is your product to apply this to different industries, or do you also plan to develop the product, a new product, to go into new solutions for a industry?
Currently, we are the best customer of our own product right at the moment. So what we are doing is we are developing customer individual solutions from prototype to series for customers, for example, tier 1 supplier and end-of-line tester, and supply them a specialized end-of-line tester against other companies that will do the same with a standard approach. That was what we are doing currently. But what where we want to go to is we want to integrate the process and sell the complete process to customers. So we will have partners or companies who build their solution on our base system and on our development process.
Okay, so further along the value chain.
Yeah, that will change our company. So you can imagine we have 2 companies maybe in the future. One will sell the prototyping hardware and the process, and there will be a second one who will do integration work if the customer can't do it or if the partner can't do it and so on.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you look interested in investing, visit you at the booth.
Right, we are right over there. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So the last company is already standing up. How do you pronounce it? HANECS, or do you use the English version?
Yeah, the name is just HANECS. It's
German,
or you can use whatever you want. Okay. Yeah.
Founded 2017. How many people?
We are now 9 people, 9 engineers, and yeah, we have started with 2 people, so we have quite a good growth in the last time. Yeah.
Okay. So you tell us what you do.
Okay. Hi. Yeah. My name is Max, and I'm a co-founder at HANECS, and I'm very happy to present our company here today. Our company is in the business of automotive software, which we actually love. Yeah, why is automotive software such an important thing? Why is there such an increasing demand? Yeah, you see, now autonomous driving is being developed, and for example, it means, just to give you a figure, that if you drive 1 hour autonomously, you will produce 4 terabytes of data, yeah? Just with 1 car. By 2021, there will be more Ethernet connectors in cars than in private homes. Yeah? There will be more than 80 ECUs with more than 100 million lines of code in total. Yeah? So if you buy a car today, you will also buy more than 100 million lines of code. Yeah? It's unbelievable. Yeah, Ethernet is becoming more important, so there will be more data than ever in cars, and this brings a new level of complexity. And what we are basically doing is to help tier ones. Tier ones are basically the suppliers of the car manufacturers to develop their products, to supply the car manufacturers with their products. Yeah? It sounds easy, but it is a really complex topic. We help them, we give advice, we consult them, and we do engineering stuff. Why is it important to have a company like us? It is because there are so many tools, so many suppliers, so many companies in the market. We give an overview, we support, we do the engineering, and we also integrate, we debug, and we bring up the whole systems and make them safe, which is also a very complex topic. So that's why we set up our mission, and our mission is to accelerate complex software development in order to allow to drive innovation for future mobility. Future mobility means basically for us autonomous driving, intelligent driving, and connectivity. Yeah, another major topic is electric driving, but this is not where we lay our focus on. As I said, our main focus is autonomous driving. Autonomous driving means that you have a bunch of additional ECUs that, for example, collect all the sensor data from a radar, from a camera, from GPS, from LiDAR, from many sensors. Yeah? And then you have a central processing unit, which is very, very powerful, and actually does the decision, do I have to brake, do I have to steer, do I have to drive, is there a tree in the way, or something like this. Yeah? This is what autonomous driving will be, and we support our customers to have a system where they can introduce the products. So here I go a bit more into detail. Yeah? Maybe if you are in the automobile industry, you could have heard about AUTOSAR. AUTOSAR is something like Windows. Yeah? It's a standard for an operating system that allows you to transfer already developed software from one control unit, from one car, let it be for BMW, into a Mercedes car, for example. So you have a single development, like you know it from your normal PC, yeah, where you have Microsoft Windows and you can write programs and use them on every PC. Yeah, this is new to the automotive industry. Maybe you can imagine this, but it is like this, yeah. And only this standard allows us to transfer once developed software. Before it was the case, let's say 5 to 10 years ago, that software was developed once for a particular BMW vehicle or for a particular Mercedes vehicle, and then you could not reuse it. Now you can, which opens also the possibility that more and more companies can get into this application development. And what we are doing is now to do the interface and the bring up of these operating systems, because there are, again, many suppliers on different levels of this software, which is highly complex. Yeah, you have safety, you have security requirements. You want to introduce Linux, for example, into automotive, and this is what we are supporting. Yeah? So if you are a tier one, you can come to us, ask us what tools are available, what standards are available, how do I make my system safe, how do I make it secure. Yeah? Safe means there should not be any crash related to your, what you did. Secure means no hacking should happen. Yeah? This is where we can support and will support you. Yeah. Another big topic is embedded Linux. It's becoming more and more important because with Linux you can even develop more complex systems. We also have at our booth here in the startup area a training solution where people who are interested in automobile software can learn about this AUTOSAR and all the other stuff, yeah, which is normally not that easy because the big players in the automotive software industry, I don't want to say the names here, but you can visit them in booth number 4. Yeah, they try to hide their knowledge. Yeah? So it's really difficult to get into this, and we want to break the ice for you. So if you are interested to become an automotive software developer, and you just don't know why, yeah, because it's very difficult to do this at home, you can learn to program Android at home, but it's difficult to become a software developer, especially autonomous driving software developer, then just visit us on our booth. Okay. Yeah. Regarding our company, we were founded in 2017. We are now 9 people. We didn't have any external funding. We just started, we canceled our jobs, my co-founder and me, after we acquired our first project. And the only thing we bought privately was a coffee machine, and we earned money from the very beginning on. Yeah, that's a bit proud of. Okay, yeah, thank you so far. If you have any questions, visit us at the booth, please. It's just right over here. Thank you.
And I think you can be proud of to have it bootstrapped so far. What are your plans? 2017 now, 9 employees. It's yeah, we learned before a growth rate 30 people per year. Probably that's not possible because you just hire people when you have money or you have contracts.
Yeah, it's really challenging to find good people. We have some applicants who say that they are familiar with those software topics. Some of them are really good, but it's really difficult to find good people in the software market. Yeah, so if you know somebody who is good at the topics I presented, yeah, marry him or her and maybe give us him our telephone number. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We will welcome you at our booth at any time.
Okay, that was the last presentation for today. It was 14, not 15 startups. I hope you learned something. Take the opportunity, talk to them. They are in the startup area. There's also the Gemeinschaftsstand a little further. There are also further startups. My name is Christoph Rommel from BayStartUP. If you have what I introduced to you, any questions, I'm here for a little longer. Talk to us. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed it and have a good rest of the day on the fair.